Okay, so here we are starting the reload. I'm gonna save as really quick. Just call this arms reload. Okay, first order of business is Control A and just wipe all our keyframes. Then we need to decide how long do we want this animation to be in terms of time, really. And one of the things, over the course of testing and trying, I found out that a 2-second reload is actually pretty good. It feels quick enough in game and not so quick that it's totally unnoticeable. So we're going to go over the course of 60 frames, and what we're not going to do is going to lock in everything at frame 0 just to be sure. You can hit that a million times if you want. Just make sure everything gets a keyframe here. You'll notice that the keyframe marker is black, which means that if I pick this one object, you can see it's R, G, and B, which is indicating that it has the X, Y, and Z in the. There's a keyframe for position and rotation on there. Okay. If I were to take an object that didn't have a keyframe and I moved it in just the with auto key on, sorry. If I moved it in just the Y here, you can see I got a red. Okay, if I move it in the Z, I just got a red. Okay, a red means it's only keyframed that one particular parameter. There's no keyframes for rotation here, or my X and my my Y and my Z. There's only one keyframe. Okay, so just there's a little bit of color coding going on there. And if you have more than one object selected, it's kind of adding. If I hit Control A, it shows black, which is basically all colors. So with that out of the way, we're just going to basically just jump right into it. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically have him bring the gun up. He's going to eject the slide. He's going to bring another slide up. He's going to slap a slide in. He's going to cock the gun, and then he's going to bring it back to ready. Okay, so about 6 general movements. Okay, we're going to do pretty much 10 frames each. Okay, so make sure with everything selected, just going to do that again. I'm going to hit J so I don't show all my selection boxes, and at frame 10 is where he's going to move it up into view. And what I'm going to do is have him bring it a little bit facing the camera. I want to be on local here, and I don't want to be on angle snap. He's going to kind of bring it like that. Now I want to show what's going on in my camera view here, and once again I gotta hide that bone. Okay. Now I can kind of tune the angle that this is gonna show up. I'm gonna keep in mind that I actually forgot to cut the hole out the bottom of the gun. I'll probably do that before I put it up for everybody, but I did forget that, so I'm gonna hide that by not turning the gun too much like that, so you can see that it's solid down there. Okay, I'm just going to keep it relatively flat and even a little bit less. I'm going to rotate it a little bit up like that and bring it up to about there, so I can clearly see the mag will fall out. That'll be visible on the screen. Okay, so he brings the gun up. Alright, this is going to be very similar to the animation that I've done for my other weapons, but this will actually show you the process of how I did it, and it works out good. So with the gun up, keep in mind too that I actually can rotate the gun out of his hand if I want to. So say if I wanted to make it so that the gun kind of moved a little bit in his hand or whatever, I could do that, but I'm really not gonna mess with that. And at the same time that he brings that hand up, I'm going to bring this hand up, and I'm going to end up constraining this when I go to do the mag, which means I want to make sure that I have a link to world on this guy in link parameters, okay, which is not not showing up, which means in this particular scene I haven't attempted to make a link constraint yet. So what I'm going to do temporarily is just go animation constraints, link constraint to that guy, and then you can see now I have this. I'm just going to say link. I don't want to be on frame 10. I'm just going to delete that link really quick. Hand's still in the same position, and then let's just say link to world. Okay. So it starts off linked to world. It's important if you're going to do any linking that you do that on frame 0. And then I'm going to get his hand ready over here to grab the mag, which I might not want it to be that close. Oh, and there's one thing I wanted to mention. If you were paying close enough attention, my last animation, the equip, when I watched that again, I forgot to reset this guy, the twist in this wrist, so my end and frame was not right. So I need to fix that, which I haven't actually fixed yet. I could have just fixed it, not said anything to anybody, but anybody who noticed it would have been like, hey, what are you doing? Just gonna take this guy and make sure I'm in local, just so you know if I try to rotate this in another angle, it actually wants to mess up the arm. So if I'm not in local here, if I'm in view and I rotate it, you can see that it's wigging out my arm when I rotate it. So if I'm in local though, it doesn't want to change, doesn't want to bend my IK. Okay, so I'm just going to go about like that. I'm looking over here as I do my rotation, okay? Get that about ready. Now what I'm going to do in this animation is normally you would drop the mag out and the mag would just fall out and hit the ground. Okay, but you may not want to actually lose your mag if you're, obviously if you're at the range or something, you usually take the mag out and grab it and put it down, or put it in a bag or something on your hip. Okay, and one of the things is in 3-player, if you drop the mag out to the ground, at some point the mag needs to warp over to where he's going to pick it up. Let's say he holds the mag on his hip, right? The mag drops out and then it needs to appear on his hip. Well, in Max you can animate something over the course of one frame and it'll just appear there, but UDK will blend that, so what you'll see is the mag drop out and it'll warp and sometimes rotate over the course of less than a frame, and you'll see it. You'll actually catch it moving. So what we decided to do instead was to forego the idea of dropping mags completely out, and we're saying, okay, well, we're going to pull the mags out. We're going to drop it out so that it kind of pops out a little bit, and then we're going to pull it out with our hand, and we're going to keep it in our hand. Okay, so that's what we're going to do here, and that's why I'm bringing his hand up now to get ready to actually catch the mag here. You need to kind of rotate around and keep checking all your views to see where that's going to be. And again, I'm going to get his fingers and stuff in anticipation for catching that. So select these two below it. I used page down and then control page down. I can move the hand a little back. Okay, so then he brings his hands up. Okay. can see it kind of looks like the thumb is not a good spot, so let me move that down a little bit. Okay, I'm going to frame that nicely. And really what happens is, at some point, something presses this button here. I could actually have this hand do it by simply moving it up and forward here so that it looks like this thumb is actually doing that little button press. Okay. But if I did that, I really don't like the way that the hand's angled here. Okay, I would want to support that a little bit with some silhouette in there of the other fingers. Okay, and I may even really want to rotate the wrist a little bit that way, and then fix the thumb here to not pass through that finger. Okay, so he goes up and presses it with his thumb. Boop. Alright. Then at frame 20, the mag's going to start dropping out. So what I want to do is I'm going to hit Control A, and at frame 10, where I like everything, I'm just going to slap a keyframe to make sure that that's in line. And at frame 20, I'm going to go to Local, select my little mag bone, and I can drop that out to about there. And at the same time, he actually comes to grab the mag. Okay, you can see that from the halfway mark here his thumb and everything are passing through. So a lot of times you want to set at your key points, you set your pose and then you go halfway and just kind of fix that so he comes up, he presses it, and then he comes around, and you can see that right here the thumb is passing through the mag. So if at frame 15 I give myself a little bit more anticipation in the thumb, okay, it's still passing through, so what I could actually do is fix it just at that exact particular frame. Okay. So he grabs it at frame 20, and also these fingers. I'm going to start actually wrapping around to hold it at frame 20, and I may want to do a little bit of edits on these guys at frame 15 to make sure that they don't look like they're moving into too quickly and in weird relation to what's going on. Okay, just work my time slider back and forth and fix my poses at each major junction of the timeline. And then this finger, I'm just going to get all the digits, Control page down, and just tuck it in. Okay. And then we'll see what that looks like. Okay. And while that's actually happening, while he's going to grab it, I'm going to move it down a little further. means I gotta kind of fix this, 'cause I don't like how it was dropping down. Okay, so he's got it. You can watch it in the camera view here. Let's see. So he hits the button, grabs it. You don't see anything really passing through. The thumb's kind of passing through the bottom of the gun here, but really I could just move that down a little bit on 15 at the halfway mark, and now that doesn't happen. Okay. Alright, so we're good here. And then what he's going to do is he's going to bring it down at 30, bring it back up in at 40. Then he's going to grab it, cock it, and move it back in. So we have a bit of a plan here. So now what I need to do is I need to attach this hand to the mag, same way I did it to the slide for the equip. So what I do is I take my wrist controller and I go to Animation Constraints, Link Constraint. And if I hold over something and just wait, it gives me a little tag, Weapon Mag. Okay, so that's on there. Now I need my wrist bone. And I need to hit my orientation constraint, so Animation Constraints, Orientation Constraint, to the same bone, Weapon Mag. You can see that it twists the hand all crazy. Just hit Keep Initial Offset. And once again, this orientation constraint is on from the start, and we don't want that. We want to make sure that it only turns on at frame 20, and that every frame before that it's at 0. So we drag back one frame and then to 0. Okay. And now at frame 30, we can move the mag. Rotate it a little like that. It's kind of acting a little weird. Almost opposite. Let me check what's going on here. It's possible that I'm beyond the ability for this to actually catch on. Let me see. You can see for some weird reason that I'm now moved. It's like this guy is not linking properly. Let me undo until frame 20 looks good again. Okay. Thing is, I gotta make sure that everything gets locked into a keyframe at frame 20, because I think what was happening was that some of these things were starting to blend from earlier. Okay, so if I go to frame 30 now and I rotate the mag, the hand's on there. So something was getting blended from earlier. So now I can pretty much just kind of bend it a little bit like that as I bring it down. So he clicks it. What other thing I want to do is, as that happens, I want to move the gun down a little bit, which means I need to move this down a little bit. Make sure I'm not crossing over or moved out of where I wanted to be. You see there's a slight bit of movement in the gun from frame 10 to 20. And then as the mag comes out, I want to actually kind of free up his hand. Now the other thing I want to keep in mind is that the mag is still linked to the gun. So if I, at frame 30, take this gun and rotate it, you can see that the mag goes with it, which actually overstretches and overextends how much I can move this, because my IK chain of bones has actually now breached its limit. So if I just pull that back, okay, and now really all I got to do is just hit Control A and slap everything's keyframe at 30 because I know it's good. And now I can take the mag, weapon mag here, and it's inside the weapon at frame 10. I'm just going to put that to frame 40. You can see that it just moves back up into the weapon at frame 40. However, it comes in at a really weird angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move that frame to frame 35, and then I'm going to move it down so that it's just starting to hit. Okay, so he brings it up, and then frame 40. Now it's the frame 40 that I want here. Get my little weapon mag bone here. That's where I want him to be. Okay, so he brings it up to the bottom of the gun. At the same time, he might turn the gun a little bit. Okay, I want to kind of keep this part moving. Don't want it to ever really freeze. You can see that the mag is moving forward here. If you look here, it goes forward almost out of the gun and then comes back, even though it should be going straight. And the reason for that is because the gun is now kind of moving. So if we take that weapon mag and we move it back here, for some reason it's not sticking. So a quick fix is just to move it back. But you can see it's moving in and out, and that kind of negates that whole time we spent. So let's check the curve on it from 10 to 20. And let's just make it linear. It doesn't move in the Y, but it moves in the Z. Let's make it linear. You can see now that it shoots straight out. Sorry, I had this out of the view. I took these two and made them linear by hitting this. Y doesn't have any movement. Then I took Z, just selected 10 and 20 and made those linear. And you can see now that the mag doesn't shift around. It drops straight out. Okay, and then at 35 he brings it up. Okay, to right at the base. And then basically we want him to have at 40 it's going to go up in the gun, so it's going to be pretty quick. So grabs it, takes it out of the scene, brings up another one, and now at frame 40 we pretty much want the mag to go back in, which we can just copy where it is in at frame 10. Now the problem is that the hand is now still attached, so the mag's going all the way in, but the hand's going all. So really, we need to get the hand off the mag at the moment that it hits here and is now being guided. And I hooked my pinky up under there. So what I'm going to actually do is once he gets to this point, I'm going to have him let go of the mag, and he's going to push it up with his pinky and slide his hand under it and cup. So what I got to do is I got to get it out of his hand at frame 35. So IK, first order of business, and I'm just going to link to world at frame 35. Okay. Then I'm going to take the wrist bone here, go to my orientation constraint, and at frame 34 it's good, so I want it to be at 100, so just tick it up and then tick it back down. Then at frame 35 I want it to be at 0. You can see it tweaked. I also want to make sure I set my Euler XYZ active. I'm going to hit rotate here. I want to go to pick. I want this to be in relation to the mag. Okay, I want that as my coordinate system. Excuse me. And now I can copy what's at 34 and paste that to 35. And that puts the gun still in his hand. But now at frame 40, 35 to 40, the mag goes up in. And again, you can see the mag comes out through the front, which means we got to fix that curve again. So go curve editor, and we're worried about 35 to 40, which is these two. Just going to make that linear. Make that linear. Mag movements being linear is okay. Okay, and you can see it just comes magnetized out of his hand. And now what we're going to do is we're going to, at 35, just hit Control A and slap a key. Hit 40 and slap a key, so everything's locked in at what it was. And now really at frame 40 I just want to pose his hand to look like he's cupping the mag. So let me get that forearm twist and go to local. Okay. Oops. I hit J here so I don't have any selection boxes. And I want to move my hand and really at this point the thumb kind of trails out a little bit. And the fingers really just need to unwrap themselves. Select the first digit and hit Control Page down to get the rest of them. Okay, as he kind of slaps it in. Now I'm probably going to need to fix the part way points here. This is quick, Okay, but it's still passing through. So halfway, which is about 37, I'm going to take the hand and move it down a little bit. And then at the final point, I'm going to just move it a little out and up. Okay, so doesn't look too bad. Alright, comes out of his hand, and as he turns his hand up, I'm kind of just hand matching this right now. Alright, it's not too bad. Just make sure I lock a keyframe there. And really, I'm almost done. After he slaps the mag in, really this hand just goes back, because on a semi-automatic pistol, the slide is actually is back in the beginning. So if I take this slide here, and right in the beginning of the animation, I just move it back with auto key off, you can see that the whole time that the slide stays back. Okay, even though I got all these keyframes, which I really don't need, just delete them. It doesn't hurt anything. When you export, it creates a data point for every bone at every keyframe anyway. Okay. So he brings it up, takes it away. At this point here, he's pulling the gun a little back. So let me go back to auto key. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy frame 20 to 25, and staying in local, I'm going to move, oops, the frame 25. I want him to come straight out, then he can move it back, okay? Because I don't want the mag to slip through the back of the gun or nothing. So grabs it, takes it down. He just takes it out of view. I mean, just puts it right out of view. I don't need him to reach all the way down over to here to get another one or anything. You're never going to see that. So 20 to 30. I'm also going to move this down a little bit. So it comes down. Then he kind of brings that up. And I'm just going to rotate the gun a little bit, like okay, meets at 35. I want to have the gun get slapped up, which now that these are separated, what I can do is I can say pick this weapon, and I can move it in the same direction. I change my axis to be the same as that. So then the gun comes up, and now really this hand can just go back to what it was. So all I'm really going to do is just move it out of the way. Let's check both views. So slap, and as it moves out of the way, I'm also going to turn it over like that, so it kind of falls down. You can see its thumb passing through for a couple of frames here, but if I go halfway here and just move that to the side, just go in my view, I can pretty much alleviate that. So he slaps it in. Could be a little more. So that thumb misses, which it's not, it's cutting through. Okay, should be a little more over still. Slap. He moves it down. And then he moves it back into the original position, which I need to copy and paste. Okay, so it's back to where it was. It comes out of view, and then he just moves it. And probably move it a little in here and down some, just so it doesn't look all weird. You know, it's out of view. And at the same time that he slaps it in, what I'm going to do is it got hit up, and I'm going to bring this back down in local to look like he's kind of recovering from it getting slapped. So it kind of goes up and down, okay, like he hit it and then it went in, up and then back down. Now he's going to basically release the slide, and that's going to take only 2 frames, and I can pretty much put the slide back to where it was, which I kind of messed up. I don't know if I can do this. Yeah, I set a skin pose on that, so I can just assume the skin pose, and that's another beauty. Okay, so then the slide goes back over the course of 2 frames because it's a super strong spring, and as that happens, after that happens, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to continue this moving down a little bit, but I'm going to lock part of that in, then I'm going to snap that down a little bit. So snap, and that kind of slings the gun forward, and actually okay, and then pretty much at frame 60 I can put the gun back. So he goes up, hits the button, grabs the mag, drops it out of view, pulls a new mag up and slaps it in, moves that hand out of the way as he drops the slide forward, which kind of tilts the gun a little bit. That momentum, okay? And let's actually recover from that momentum a little bit. And then he brings it back down. So let's just check our camera view and see what kind of tweaks do we need to make. We'll just hit play. Before we do that, we're going to save it, because so far everything's kind of okay. Feels a little unnatural with that dipping down part for the slide. This feels a little unnatural here. Okay, a little bit too much movement. So let me delete that frame. What I'm going to do is I'm going to even that out. I'm just going to move it a little forward at this frame. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to wipe these two. I'm going to try to simplify this. Okay, it stays in the same position. Actually, let me get a full keyframe. It stays in position. I'm basically just going to move it a little bit forward. Okay, that might feel a little bit more natural. Instead of doing the rotation, have it jam forward. It's very subtle. And then I want to do a couple of fix-ups, and that's it. It's pretty good. So like I said, you know, there's kind of a bit to reload, but at the same time, it's not that tough. So when he brings the slide up, I just want to fake that he's actually doing something with his right hand. I'm going to do that by moving this thumb up. Okay, and then I'm just gonna tick that down like that. Like he brought it down, so he just kind of went right. Okay, to make it look like he hit something, even though he's missing the button by a landslide. I just want to make it look like he did something with his hand, like he kind of, as he brought it up, he kind of a little slightly letting it go. Okay, just a little movement in there. And then when he goes to release the slide, I want to actually do kind of the same thing. Just that little bit of subtle movement that comes out of the corner of your eye will really help. So I'm going to lock at frame 40 and 45, and then at 45 I'm going to kind of bring the thumb off a little bit and fold it out, and then I'm going to put that back 2 frames later, so it just kind of looks like he brought his hand up and then is doing something with his thumb, which would be hitting this button. But really I would need to actually turn the gun in his hand and actually have the other hand probably cup under here to guide it a little bit, in order to do this totally 100% accurate. But I'm not really worried about it right now. And then one of the other things I need to tie up is my bullet. Okay, I'm just going to select this bullet bone, and what I want to do is I want to use my mag as my coordinate system, and at frame 0, if I look in here, I want to move the bullet in. Okay, let's see if I can't zoom in and see if it's sticking out the back of the mag, which it is. So I need to move it a little forward as well, and just make sure that if I can get a good view in here, I don't see it poking out that mag, which I don't. And then I'm going to take that keyframe, and I'm just going to delete all the other keyframes. Okay, so the bullet's always missing. Okay, you can see it's underneath. Actually, I'm not going to ditch all the keyframes. I want to save a position of the bullet. Actually, no, I can, because I have my skin pose. So at frame 30, he's got it down. So I'm going to slap a keyframe there, and then at frame 31, I'm going to assume the skin pose. So the bullet, over the course of 1 frame, reappears to simulate that he's got a new mag. Okay, so if I look at this in the camera view, when it comes out, however slight that appears on screen, it does in fact have a bullet in there when it comes back. Okay, like I said, it's very quick, to the point where you wouldn't really even... This is how long you see the top of the mag. 1, 2, how many frames? 1, 2, not 1 frame. Okay, when it comes out, you see it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames. Okay, that's how long the mag's on top of the in view. But it is in view. You do see it. Okay, that's why oftentimes I don't waste a lot of effort modeling the top of the mag. Unless I raised the gun up a lot higher and did a lot more effort with it, it's really not worth it. So remember, after fire animation, the last bullet is fired, it's going to instantaneously snap to the slide back. Okay, he's going to do this, and then he's going to bring it back down to normal. Okay, so let me hit Z real quick, and then let's just tie everything up. You can see that this bone that I missed that last time needs to be tied up. As he brings it down. Also, there was actually a little bit of movement that went on at some point where I turned the gun I didn't turn this bone. Okay, I'm on local here. It looked like from frame 20 to 30, you need to actually twist that to follow that. And actually it terminates from 50 to 60 as the gun goes back into the right rotation. Let me check this one. Yeah. You can see all my angles and stuff are weird. So let me just hit Control A and get a keyframes locked down at 50. Then what I can do here is just pretty much take all of this minus this IK object. I don't want to do that. And I can just paste all that. You can see now there's no difference. The only shift in positions, oh, and you can see that I messed up my thumb here. See my thumb change over the course? So you want to check that. So let me take the first digit and hit Control page down to get all three of them. And lock in a pose there. And then I can copy the first frame out to 60, so it only happens from 50 to 60. And now you can see that there's no shift in the hand. Make sure there's no shift in my upper arms. Take a global look. You see this IK object rotates, but that doesn't have any effect on anything. Its position is the same. It doesn't. Its rotation was based because it got changed when it was linking to the mag. Link constraint does follow rotation too. However, if you notice when I take this and I rotate it, it doesn't matter where I put it. It does absolutely nothing. It's just a positional marker. Okay, doesn't matter about rotation. You can use it to guide rotations if you orientation constrain something to it, but really we don't need to. So I'm going to call my reload done. Okay. It took a little while, about 50 minutes, but there's a lot of explaining to do. Usually I can get these done in about 15 minutes or so. So now, once again, if I unhide all and unfreeze all, I can go and get my character selection. Come over here, name this oneplayer_reload, and this goes from 0 to 60. Digest the animation. Now if I hit my animation manager, you can see that I'm now on my gun Glock. Okay, so I want to put this back to arms. Okay, and then it doesn't change anything here until I hit load. 5 sequences loaded, and now I can stick it in. Okay, save. Okay, then I hit OK. Save my scene, and now I'm going to save the scene as gun reload. Save. And I'm going to add the arms to the selection, so I have 43 again. I'm going to delete those. Get rid of my IK solvers here. Check that the gun doesn't move in any animation, which it doesn't. Move by view here. Zero that out. Change my rotation to view. And zero all that out. Then what I can do is just really don't need the camera. I'll just hide it. Take this and hit Control page down to get all the bones for the gun. And now I change this to gun. I'll leave everything else the same. Hit digest animation, OK. Animation manager, and then I hit load. And it loads the one sequence I had for the gun. Okay. And then I can save that. Save it. Come back to UDK. Go to the arms, and I want to do a new, import the PSA, do the arms. I can just say yes. You see now I got a reload. Okay, that works. Then I go to my gun anim set, and import the PSA for the gun. And now I've got to reload where the mag comes out and the slide drops, and everything's working. So I can save my package, and I'm good to go. Okay, I'm going to stop the video here, and then at the end I'm going to tie everything up with the last couple of animations that are pretty quick and easy. Fire and aim fire, and that's about it. And then I'll try to tie everything up, and we'll be done. Okay.